Alright, Shalom, Hebrews. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. Okay, Hebrews, where do we Israelites get these holidays from? You know, I'ma just use the term that the sleep Israelite, you know what I'm saying, used, and that is addressed by the term Negro, Black, African American, colored. Where did you get Christmas from? Where did you get the belief in the 4th of July from? Where did you get the worship and the belief in the New Year's from? Where you get it from? You got it from slavery. And if you try to argue and say you ain't get it from slavery, you know, you need to be kicked square in your tail. Cause you know for a fact that we got Christmas. All these holidays we got from slavery. Now why come the from the transatlantic slave trade up to now that we've been doing these folks holidays and we ain't never questioned where we got them from? Most folks don't care because we just like the Israelites in the Tanakh. And I'm going to show this. How did they see it? Because our ancestors did the Egyptian religion and it was cool with them, that they will continue to do the Egyptian religion. And we see the disaster that caused the transatlantic slave trade. Yeah, that caused the transatlantic slave trade because we see that we're going to continue to do the wickedness that our ancestors did. And I'm going to show that in the Tanakh. And it's plain, it's clear how we see that we're going to, man, because our forefathers worshiped the Egyptian religion, that we're going to do it too. And that's how we people from the transatlantic slave trade, you know, that's called Negroes, African Americans, being with these traditions because they've been handed down. And we say, well, because our mama and our daddy did it. You know, our mama and our daddy, and before them, they did it. And okay, well, when is the chain of ignorance gonna break? When is the ignorance gonna stop? When is we gonna stop doing these folks' holidays to our detriment, to our harm? Doing Christmas harm us. Doing Christmas harm our community. All that wealth, man, all that wealth leave the community. Billions of dollars leave our community doing what they call Christmas time. Ah, man. Man, it almost sucked the whole community dry during Christmas time. Man, some folks be staggering after that, wondering how they gonna recover. But they made their kids happy. My kids happy. My kids happy. Man, they got a present. They got a bike. Mikey got a bike. And he's happy. But throughout the whole year, Mike is sad and wondering if he gonna eat and wondering if he gonna have a place to stay and hear his mother and father's argument over finances. But this one day, Mikey can look forward to be happy. If Mikey only knew that billions of dollars was taken out the community and that his mama and daddy is doing wickedness that the slaves was taught that we didn't bring from Africa during the transatlantic slave trade, that if Mikey knew that Mikey might not even be happy for that present that he got. Because kids are sometimes smarter than their parents. There's some of us see how kids, you know, say, dang, man, the kid's smarter than their parents. You know, and it be like that. But how about Christmas? Oh, man, you satisfying the evil spirit that go way back 4,000 years. Christmas is a Canaanite. No matter how, man, they can rewrite it and then it can advance and it can mutate. It can mutate as it did. It mutated from its original worship. Christmas mutated from its original worship. It's a Babylonian worship, and it's a Babylonian tradition. It's a winter solstice worship, and man, it's a whole lot of traditions tied in it. And then the Tanakh give you a glimpse of not to worship and to fall in it. And man, the very idol that the Tanakh denounced, man, Israelites having their house on December the 25th. And then, how about this? December the 25th. Man, you can't find nowhere, you know, in in the New Testament when the demigod Jesus was born on December the 25th. You can't find that nowhere in Mark, Luke, Matthew, or nowhere where it say December the 25th is the day that the demigod Jesus was born. And man, it's a cold story about that, and I got a bunch of videos explaining the Jesus history and how that during that time that a lot of people had settled in the promised land after the book of Malachi closed in 430 BC because the exiles' lights was finna go out. I just recently explained in the video how the Israelite army as well as nation and people, because you know if the army run into Africa that the average people gonna run into Africa behind them. And then how everybody went into Africa during the Babylonian wars, and then how the exiles, that little bitty percent that come back, they lights got put out so fast because they start mortgaging the land. They start letting the enemies up in the temple, and they start mixing. So a lot of stuff happened to them real fast. And I got plenty videos explaining, what happened to the exiles. So I showed that in plenty videos that how a lot of people, man, about 12 different nations settled in the promised land, but the vast majority of the people that settled in the promised land was from the Mesopotamia area. Now we know that, the Edomites and, a whole bunch of Canaanite tribes that we never ran out since Exodus, that they would eventually get our heritage, but how we never ran them out. And then how that they were Amorites, and then how that the Canaanites culture that we didn't destroy, it went all the way to Mesopotamia, and that they was Amorites and the Canaanite culture. Well, the people that were settled in our land at two different times, they was from the Mesopotamia area, and they practiced the winter solstice religion, what they call the 12 days of Christmas. I'm gonna show you Hebrews about all this, and then how did they believe in all that, and then how did those people, them Edomite, Amorite tribes would go to Spain, and then how did they would hook up with the Europeans from trade, and develop the Babylonian religion in tradition, which that they will be exposed to, because Ashkenazi, if you Israelites ever look up Japhet Nymphat, I might pull his name up, and how that was Japhet descendants in Babylon, and how that they got a Babylonian education, and how that they would take that winter solstice religion to Europe, doing trade routes and so forth, and then how that they would develop the winter solstice, about the winter being a new year, and probably the best part of the time of the year on earth is when it get real cold for them folks, because then, man, they can, run around in the cold and do a whole lot of stuff in the cold, whereas the pigmented folks down here that's used to living on the equator, man, it get cold, man, it's terrible. That's how we didn't worship no winter solstice religions, because we come from the equator, or where it's warm and cold, and we didn't do them old winter religions, because where we stayed at and hung out at, it was traditionally warm, throughout the year, even though we did experience cold spells, but it's, kind of warm and stuff. But how did the people above us, the tribes north of us, man, it got real cold up here back in the days, man, because they was kind of close to the Arctic and so forth, but I got real cold. So, man, to the winter solstice worship, man, would be right up their alley, man, because that's kind of like the best time of the year for them, man, because the sun ain't beaming down on them. That's like a new year. That's like now, man, they practice the new year, the dead, with things dead. There's no new growth in the dead of winter. And then they called it New Year. Whereas us Hebrews, New Year start in what they call spring. You know what I'm saying? And when it's new growth. You see, that's when we start a new year, when it's new growth and not in the dead of winter like, these peoples come from. So they would be, creating religions and holidays associated with the return of the cold weather. With the return of the cold weather. That's why you see this dude all dressed up like that. You know what I'm saying? But because, man, it's their best time. Then they start passing out presents and stuff. And then how they want to keep a remembrance, mean, of those times. Man, they had old tree, you know what I'm saying, that never died and so forth in the winter and summer, you know what I'm saying, this old tree stuck around and they would, it's like that pine tree, and they would, man, attach some of their deity figures because they was nature worshipers, and they would attach their deities and kings and stuff names to trees and stuff that that lasted all year round and so forth. Man, it's a whole lot of mess that these folks was doing, and all this stuff come about is because we Israelites never kept the covenant to establish what was righteous on earth and what Almighty Yah want. Now we know that some fellow angelic beings was confined here to the earth, and men held it all. The mischief and stuff can be kind of like associated with them, and then we know that they didn't have no pigmentation, and how did they live, the Nephilims and stuff, lived underground, man, in Turkey. So, they gonna be happy, man, when winter come around, because now that they can move around. You see what I'm saying? They can move around. And back in the days, man, as you can see, reading Tanakh history, man, them peoples hopped from mountains to mountains when it was warm. They always go flee up in the mountains, in the caves and stuff, and it's kind of natural. I ain't talking bad about, our brothers and sisters that don't, you know, have any degree of pigmentation, but that's how it was back then. When it got real cold and stuff, man, that was the best time, men in them people's lives and stuff. So you're going to have a lot of religions and traditions that spring up from that because, it's kind of natural. That's like in our history, how Almighty Yah give us festivities and so forth, and those festivities centered around harvest time and growth, the spring growth and harvest time, and then we can make donations to the temple and man, feed the poor and all that. So we had traditions tied into the into the summertime, the spring, man, the good weather. It's like these peoples had, they festivities tied into, the cold days and so forth, because that's when they got happy and things started happening for them. But, okay, Israelites, is it good for an Israelite, man, to worship the religion, man, of our enemies? Should we worship our enemy's religion in any kind of way? Israelite, what kind of excuse can you make to worship our enemy's religion? Especially when you wake up to your Israelite heritage, you should know better. But It's some of these Israelites, man, they got wives. Man, they got wives. They got a strong spirit that they really don't know the truth. They be believing in Jesus. And then how some of these Hebrews stuck in a situation, man, where a woman worship Christmas, and they be like, baby, I don't want to really worship Christmas because I know it was wrong, but that woman spirit, no, we worshiping Christmas because my mama did it, and they did it before then, and they did it before then. You know what I'm saying? Man, because they ain't got burnt up from worshiping it, which we are getting burnt up for worshiping it as a whole by looking at our captivity and our oppression that we are in comes from worshiping little stuff like that. You know how you think you getting away, but how we all suffering because of the belief in our enemies' religion and festivities. You know what I'm saying? That's like it's a mockery, pure mockery, and they see how foolish and how gullible and how green minded we Israelites is when we celebrate the 4th of July. Now I'm talking about out of all the holidays. Now that one with the rabbit laying the egg is a crafty one too. But how about you Israelites? Man, we been tricked into all kind of beliefs. But that one, the 4th of July, when our ancestors was locked down in slavery, you know what I'm saying, and couldn't move for hundreds of years, and then how that the Caucasians, the no pigmented peoples was oppressing some of their own people a little bit. They really wasn't being oppressed. They was just fussing over how they was going to divide the United States up, this big old land mass up is all it was. And one was more greedy. Britain was more greedier than the other folks. And then it's like, it's like this, man, Britain, the United Kingdom always been ran by Ashkenazi, but back in the days, how Spain will be ran by the Sephardis, and they'll kind of like split France, and then how that they'll go over and rob all these nations and so forth, and then how that they will bring they traditions, and stuff with them, but how did they was getting beat up, you know what I'm saying, some of the Europeans by their own peoples, and then while we was enslaved, them folks got their independence. 1776, man, we'd have been slaves almost going on, it seemed like about 200 years. We'd have been slaves, and then how that them folks got their independence, and then how we were still in slavery, and then how after slavery, they would let us celebrate their religions on the plantation. You see, that's how we got it. And that's why somebody gonna have to cut the chain, the slavery religious chain that our ancestors been passing down, keeping that yoke on us. Somebody gonna have to break the lock on it, break the shackles off, because we can't keep passing down these slavery traditions and then making excuses because our forefathers did it. Our forefathers did it. The Israelite, hurry up and tell you, my mama did it, my grandmama did it, like that was righteous and that was good with what they was doing. They didn't know no better because they did what they mama and daddies told them, to where it go back to the slavery days. Now in the slavery days, you don't know, man, if they was forcibly being instructed to worship Christmas, like you was forcibly being instructed to worship Jesus. That's like they incorporated the Jesus belief into the slaves all kind of ways. And some of the Israelites get upset and don't want to hear the truth. How that during the slavery days, how the plantation owner would give one of the mixed slaves, tell them that, hey man, if they believe in Jesus, man, they might not get a whooping. And then how did that mixed breed slave, man, to go tell the full-blooded Hebrew that, hey, man, if you believe in Jesus, man, you might not get a whooping. And then how that slave might have done did a minor infraction that the slave owner usually whoop him for, because he ain't got a basket full of cotton. And then how that slave might holler, hey, Jesus, please save me. And then the slave owner don't whoop him. The slave owner don't whoop him. And then how did that spread throughout the whole plantation? All the slaves start calling on Jesus, trying to get saved from getting whoopings. And 9 out of 10, because it was really nothing that you was getting a whooping over. It wasn't nothing for the slave owner to pardon that minor infraction in the name of Jesus. And then they let a church go up. You know what I'm saying? They let a church go up, and then they had one of the slaves, one of the half-breeds, teach the many Hebrew slaves Christianity. And then how out of fear and out of fear of being brutalized and tortured men to death, that the slaves accepted and succumbed to the Jesus religion. That's like I explained now today. How the belief in Jesus, man, you could take a old hand-me-down preacher, man, to court with you, man. You been and did all kind of terrible stuff in the community, and then how you could take a old hand-me-down preacher to the court, and then have him stand up in the court with you, and how the judge would go light on you. I done seen that a bunch of times where Israelite done terrorized the whole community. He done terrorized the whole community. And then when them folks catch him and then lock him up, and then how he get in touch with the church, and then have an old preacher come in and say, oh man, he done found Jesus, and then the court go light on him, give him probation, open the door. You know what I'm saying? And then how that they been ruling, the Israelites' mind for a long time like that. And then that origin go back to the slavery days, man. Our whole belief in Jesus in all these religions go back to the slavery days. Well, the Islam was introduced to us by the Edomites. You know what I'm saying? In Africa, as I explained. Also, how Muhammad didn't know who the Israelites were during his time, and that how that the people that was portraying to be Israelites were really, you know what I'm saying, non-Israelites. Matter of fact, they was the very same people that developed the Christmas, the Mesopotamian culture and so forth. So we Israelites, man, we got to wake up, man, in this day and time, that we can't be doing these folks' religion, no matter how comfortable, you know what I'm saying, because your house ain't fell in on you because you worshiping Jesus and believing in Christmas and the 4th of July don't make it wrong. And then how that you causing our peoples to suffer, because like I say, during them times that we worshiping these folks' false religions, that billions of dollars leave up out the community. Billions of dollars leave up out the community. That's like now, billions of dollars finna leave up out the community because how we believe in the Christmas religion, that was handed down to us, from, the slave captors. And look, us Israelites so gone that we'll make, man, the image. Now this Norris fella, man, that come from Norwegian and Norway and Sweden, way up here where it's cold. You know what I'm saying? And then how that ain't no pigmented people's been up here hanging out, and how that these folks can have their religion and have their beliefs, and how that we shouldn't worship because they worship it, but how that will make us a version of the same thing that they have. Now that's cold-blooded right there. Man, we'll make the same version. If they got a white Santa Claus, then we're going to make a black one. Damn it. You know what I'm saying? And it's been like that for the longest, man. We got to not do these folks' religion. We can't keep doing these folks' religion and believing in the way that they believe in, because it's gonna doom us. It's dooming us. And then this show the state of the mind of the people. You know what I'm saying? The Hebrews, when you see the vast majority of them still doing the traditions that we got in the slavery days. You know, like I say, man, we got Christmas in the slavery days, the 4th of July, Easter, you know what I'm saying? The rabbit with the egg. That's a cold thing. How they done trick peoples into believing that rabbit lay eggs. You know what I'm saying? And then, this just how enemies get down. You know what I'm saying? It's like making people believe in demigod worship, and that the creator had a son to come save the Hebrews from the wrath that he set forth. That don't make no sense. That don't make no sense. And then I explained to Jesus history, man, how wicked it is. Oh, man, it's wicked, man. It's real wicked. And then how all that stuff go back to the peoples that we abandon our heritage to. All right, Hebrews, let's get into some of this Christmas stuff, and then I'm going to get into the scriptures, you know what I'm saying? And I'm going to show how this stuff is evil and wicked. You know what I'm saying? That's like the 12 days of, the 12 days of Christmas, man, ain't nothing but the Babylonian men tradition. They'll tell you where Christmas come from. They'll tell you where Christmas come from. The history of Christmas festival dates back over 4,000 years. 4,000 years. Ancient midwinter festivities celebrated the return of the sun from the cold and darkness. Midwinter was a turning point between the old year and the new year. Fire was a symbol of hope, and brought greenery symbolized the eternal cycles of perception. But the term Xmas, you know what I'm saying, instead of Christmas, is Greek in origin. The word for Christ in Greek is Extros. During the 16th century, Europeans began using the first initial of Christ's name, the X or Exros, in place of the word Christ, as a shorthand version of the word Christmas. Although early Christians understood that the X was simply another form of the name of the Jesus Christ, such and such and such. All right, but anyway, man, this religion, this Christmas madness go back to Mesopotamia, man, to Babylon. You know what I'm saying? And it's about that god Marduk. Now I can show that Marduk is an Amorite god. Marduk is an Amorite god, and that how did the people from Sippar worship Marduk, and then how did the people from Sippar are the Sepharvims who was placed in our land during the Assyrian times, and then how did that's their tradition, and then how did they would put the secondary men tradition on the people, their original tradition to entrap the peoples, and then how that they would use the Israelite heritage to stay free of the entrapment themselves and to profit from the religion in their ancient festivities. You know, it is what they did. You know what I'm saying? It's profitable, man, for them to believe in the Christmas look. But many of these traditions begin with the Mesopotamian celebration of the New Year. The Mesopotamians worship many gods, the chief of whom was Marduk. See, Marduk, each year as winter arrived, it was believed that Marduk would battle the monsters of chaos. In order to assist Marduk during his struggle, the Mesopotamian held a festival for the new year. They called this celebration Zakmuk. And the festivities lasted for 12 days. 12 days. Now, did you see how that done crept in 12 days? Now, we see, look, the 12 days of Christmas. You know what I'm saying? And that's a winter solicit festivities. You see what I'm saying? And we Israelites got it from the slavery days, and that how we down here on the equator and didn't do none of that type of stuff because that's not our tradition, and that how that the people that we are in bondage to did that, and that's their religion. You know what I'm saying? Let's look some more about this whole Christmas stuff. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they gonna tell you the meanings. Look, all right. A Christian festival celebrating the birth of Jesus. I say, well, we know. Look, the earlier term Yule may have derived from the Germanic or the Anglo-Saxon Yule, which referred to the feast of the winter solstice. The corresponding term in other languages. See, because them Babylonian scribes and Ashkenazi would go to them parts, and we know that Germany is another short term for Ashkenazi. In the Ashkenazi are Scythians. That's their homeland. So, you know, like I say that Japhet descendants lived in Babylon, and then how did they would, you know what I'm saying, go back to Mesopotamia. Man, I'm gonna see if I can bring his name up, you know what I'm saying, before long. All right, look, all right, man, the history of Christmas dates back 4,000 years. The Christmas traditions were celebrated centuries before the Christ child was born. The 12 days of Christmas, the bright fires, the Yule log, the giving of gifts, carnival parades with floats, carousels with songs while going from house to house. The holiday feasts in the church procession can all be traced back to the early Mesopotamians. So that's going to be the Amorites from Supper. And then look, and then we know that Christmas is tied in to Murdoch. Look, and one of the people who worship Murdoch are the Sephardims from Sipper. You know, the Sephardims from Sipper worship Murdoch. And then that's their God. See, look, we can see again, man, them folks will tell you, man. The folks will tell you, man, they'll tell you. And then, you know, it's up to you, man, to know. Look, all right, Sipper. Man, I got a map of this. Was an ancient Eastern Mesopotamian Babylonian city in the east bank of the Euphrates. All right, but their main god was Murdoch. And Murdoch was one of their main gods. And then how did the peoples that settled in our land was from Sipper. You know what I'm saying? And the people from Sipper worship Murdoch. You know, the people from Sipper worship Murdoch. Now let's go see them being placed in our land in 722 BC. And they're called the Sephardims. All right, if you go to 2 Kings. 2 Kings. 2 Kings chapter 2 Kings chapter 17 verse 24. And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon and from Cutter and from Abel and from Hamath and from Sepharvaim and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel, and they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof. So these gonna be the Christmas worshipers and so forth. And then how you know, mean there's something right with them, you know what I'm saying, is that the prophet Jeremiah said this. I mean, if you go to Jeremiah 10, all right, man, I got it right here. I almost turned right to it. And then this is what the prophet Jeremiah said. Hear ye the word which the Elohim speak unto you, O house of Israel. So the house of Israel was still around. And now this is during the Babylonian War. So we know that it wasn't no 10 lost tribes. We know it wasn't no 10 lost tribes. See, we know it wasn't no 10 lost tribes because I proved that the Israelites escaped during the Assyrian captivity, and how did they only need the fighters to help them fight the Scythians and so forth. All right. Hear ye the word which the Elohim speak unto you, O house of Israel. This said the Elohim, learn not the way of the heathen. Look, Learn not the way of the heathen. Be not dismayed at the signs of heaven. That's their winter solstice stuff. For the heathen are dismayed at them. Now listen, he told us not to learn the way of the heathen. Let's go back even farther. Let's go back even farther. Let's go back even farther. That the Creator told us not to learn the ways of the heathen. It is if you go to Leviticus 18. Look. And the Elohim spake unto Moses, saying, this is the covenant contract. We made a contract not to worship nobody gods, nobody religions. You are Israelite. You can't worship other folks' religions. You can't believe in their gods. You gonna have relatives that's gonna be still asleep, and how you gonna have to stand up and make the difference. You're gonna have to stand up and make the difference and explain to them that we Israelites and our captivity come about because of that type of stuff. And that how the Christmas don't benefit us none at all. That how we can get presents every day of the year. And that how we ain't got to wait till one day of the year to do this. Look. And the Elohim spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, I am the Elohim, your Yah. After the doing of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwell, shall ye not do. And after the doing of the land of Canaan, where I bring ye, shall ye not do. Neither shall ye walk in their ordinance. Now listen, the worship from Canaan went all the way to Mesopotamia. The Amorites controlled the whole right here. So when Almighty Yah say don't do the way of the Canaanites, he talking about the Canaanites that's in Mesopotamia too. The Amorites. And that's their tradition. That's their tradition, as I'm going to show. As I have shown. Hear ye the word which the Elohim has spoken, O ye house of Israel. This saith the Elohim, learn not the way of the heathen. Be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. For the customs of the people. Look, you see what it say. For the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it move not. This is the origin, the beginning of Christmas. And it's been around for thousands of years. But how Prophet Jeremiah telling you that's wickedness. And this is the way of the heathens. This is the way of the heathens. And I can show you that the Gentiles, the Goyims, and the heathens ain't gonna be nothing but the Amorite and Egyptian culture. You know what I'm saying? And then this is that tree that Prophet Jeremiah talking about. Look, you see it all decked out with silver, and you know what I'm saying, with gold and so forth. You know what I'm saying? They gonna have all kind of trees. You know what I'm saying? They got all kind of stuff on them, but he telling you back then. For the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it move not. They are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They most needs be born, because they cannot go. Some stupid stuff. You know what I'm saying? But be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil. You know what I'm saying? Letting us know, man, that tree ain't nothing to be feared. Neither also is it in them to do good. Because if you believe in that stuff that our enemies created, then it ain't gonna be no good, because Almighty God didn't tell us to worship like this. For as much as there is none like unto thee, O Elohim, thou art great, as thy name is great in might. Who would not fear thee, O King of nations? For to thee do it pertaineth, for as much as among all the wise men of the nations, and in all their kingdoms, there is none like unto thee. But they are altogether brutish and foolish. The stock is doctrine vanities. You know what I'm saying? Silver spread the minute to place is brought from Tarsh. That's gonna be Spain, them folks right there. Tarsh. And gold from Upaz, the work of the workmen, and of the hands of the founders, blue and purple in their clothing. They are all the work of cunning men. But the Elohim is the true Yah. He is the living Yah. This is kind of like saying that them folks gonna have some false God and some false worship tied up in that Christmas religion. In so many words is what Prophet Jeremiah is telling us. You know what I'm saying? You can kind of see it, even though they done translated the scriptures, man, all kind of ways. But you can see him telling us this. But for the Elohim is the true Yah. He is the living Yah, an everlasting King. As his wrath the earth shall tremble, and the nation shall not be able to abide his indignation. This shall ye say unto them, the gods, look, the gods that have not made the heavens and the earth, even they shall perish from the earth and from under these heavens. Now that's Jesus too. That's Jesus, Murdoch, all them gods. If they didn't make the heavens and the earth, then they gonna perish from up under them. We know that Jesus didn't make the heavens. We know that Jesus didn't make the earth. You see what I'm saying? So that's why he didn't perish from up under the, you know what I'm saying, the heavens. You know what I'm saying? He didn't perish. And then Almighty Yah telling us that Christmas is no good. Right here. Plain and simple. For hear ye the word which the Elohim spake unto you, O house of Israel. This said the Elohim, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. That's their winter solstice. For the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workman with the axe. They deck it with silver and with the gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it move not. Man, that's that Christmas tree. And then Almighty Yah telling you, this shall ye say unto them, the gods that have not made the heavens and the earth, even they shall perish from the earth and from under these heavens. So man, Almighty Yah telling you that Jesus demigod stuff ain't real. And then as we can show in history how they developed the whole Christian, the whole Christmas concept was developed. You know what I'm saying? The whole thing was developed. You know what I'm saying? They even got it in the stages that it was developed under. So, you know, we Hebrews can't be worshiping these folks' religion. And then some of you Hebrew males, man, they got these wives with them strong spirits talking about my mom and daddy worship my mama and daddy worship Christmas and believe in Jesus. I'ma keep doing it. You know what I'm saying? And we steady suffering. Somebody gonna have to break the chain. But that's like these Hebrews right here that went into Africa. How we see, because the kings, our kings and queens and our peoples been worshiping the Egyptian religion, that we going into Africa to do them religions because it was well. And that we had such a good time while we was doing it. And guess what eventually happened? Slavery for us. Slavery. Lockdown. Oppression. You know what our people been going through. And to hear our people saying that stupid stuff. Just like some of the Hebrews women gonna say, well, because my mama did it. Man, because my daddy did it. Man, because my mama did Christmas, I'ma do it. Then all the men which knew that their wives had burnt incense unto other gods, and all the women that stood by a great multitude, even all the people that dwelt in the land of Egypt and Pathros, answered Jeremiah, saying, as for the word that thou hast spoken unto us in the name of the Elohim, we will not hearken unto thee, but we will certainly do so whatever thing go forth out of our own mouth, to burn incense unto the Queen of Heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, as we have done, we and our fathers, our princes, in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem. For then had we plenty of food and were well and saw no evils. See, it's the same thing that our folks say that same thing. We've been saying that same thing for thousands of years. Well, because our mama did it. Our uncle did it. Our great grandmama did Christmas. Our daddy did Christmas. Look, but but we will certainly do so whatever thing go forth out of our own mouth to burn incense unto the Queen of Heaven and to pour out drink offerings unto her, as we have done, we and our fathers, our kings, and our princes in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem. For then had we plenty of victuals and were well and saw no evil. You see, that's the same thing that, you know what I'm saying, that the Israelites will say right now. My mama did Christmas. My mama did Christmas. I'm gonna do Christmas. It's to make the kids happy. But guess what, Israelite? You ain't making your kids, you ain't doing your kids right by celebrating Christmas, knowing, especially if you're an Israelite, that know that you need to stop doing those traditions. But you say, well, I'ma just do Christmas just this one time. And then that one time keep turning into another time. And then how you still worshiping the enemy's religion. And then how some of the Israelites say, well, it's to make the kids happy. Well, start buying them something all at one time. Start being nice on another day. Don't be nice on December the 25th around them times. You know, don't be nice then to the kids. Be nice in March sometime. You know, pick a day in March to give them some presents wrapped up and get them used to that. But whatever you do, don't continue to be doing this Christmas stuff, because that's the Amorite, Canaanite religion that's been repackaged and then put over here on these other folks, you know what I'm saying, to keep them in bondage. And then have them slick worshiping Murdoch, the Babylonian god, and don't even know it. That's who you worshiping December the 25th, is that you worshiping Murdoch. And you don't know it. You worshiping Murdoch on December the 25th, you know? All right, Hebrews, we can't, you know, keep continuously being fools because our ancestors didn't know no better. You know, it just ain't no good thing, you know. And then how did this Christmas stuff, you know, come from Mesopotamia, you know, and how our enemies been doing this stuff, you know what I'm saying? Look, Marduk, a Mesopotamian god, you know, he a god that was from in Sippar. And Sippar is where the Sephardims come from. All right, Hebrews, let me show y'all, man, about them 12 nations of peoples that settled in the promised land that believed in God's sons. You know, I already showed you how the Sephardims, they believed in God's sons because, you know, Murdoch was one of their gods and so forth. Look in the king, this is 2 Kings 17, verse 24. And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon and from Cut and from Ava and from Hamath and from Sepharvaim and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel. And they possessed Samaria and dwelt therein. All right, they would worship all that stuff, the trees, the whole 12 days of festivities, and that's where the Christmas thing originally come from. You know, it originally come from them. And then how that they would be in the promised land after we Israelites ran out. And then how you got the people that settled during after the Babylonian wars was over, during Persian times when the Persians were starting to lose their power. And then you got some more peoples that settled in the promised land that believed in demigods, God's sons, and so forth. And then that how that they was in the promised land. And then how that after the exiles were destroyed, this would be their history. The New Testament then would be their history. And then if you go to Ezra 4, and then they was having problems with these folks, and then them folks got together with their scribes, you know, and then they start writing the king of Persia about some stuff that we was trying to resist from them. And then he named it all the peoples that was there, man. I mean, he wrote letters. And Rahum, the chancellor, and Shimei, the scribe, wrote a letter against Jerusalem to Asterix, the king, in this sort, that Then wrote Rehum the counselor, and Shimei the scribe, and the rest of their companions, the Danites, the Archiphites, the Tarpelites, the Officialites, the Archivites, the Babylonians, the Shushanites, the Devites, and the Edomites. He says about 12 different nations of people, and all of them was enemies to the exiles. And then how all them, they ain't saying how many of them folks settled. Thousands of them settled. Thousands of them settled, and they all believed in Jesus. And then 500 years would go by after the close of the Tanakh, because the exiles got knocked off because it couldn't be no two covenants. Us, they got to do the curses for going into Africa to do the Egyptian religion, and then the exiles being on the promised land. I show y'all how they was destroyed in plenty videos. And then, man, when they got destroyed in 430 BC, will be the last book. 500 years go by, and then the New Testament pop up, and then it'll be those peoples that settled in our land from Mesopotamia that believed in the God's sons and so forth. And then how did all they combined, all that stuff that they worship in Mesopotamia, like a soup bowl of religions and festivities, and then they combined it together, and then they made Christmas out of it, and then they put it on the people here in the West, and it's a capitalistic holiday. That's like the whole tax system comes from Super. The tax that we are under today and how it function come from Mesopotamia. All these religions gonna come from Mesopotamia and from the peoples that we abandon our heritage to. We Israelites abandoned our heritage to some Babylonian scribes when we ran into Africa in the book of Jeremiah to live and do the Egyptian religion, and then how this Babylonian culture was spread all around the world by them and so forth. All right, Hebrews, this is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. We can see that, that Christmas is a Mesopotamian religion. So therefore, if it's a Mesopotamian religion, then how we Israelites are not supposed to do it. Because that's one of the religions and cultures that Almighty Yah told us, man, to get rid of. As you can see, and the Elohim spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, I am the Elohim your Yah. After the doings of the land of Egypt wherein ye dwell, shall ye not do, and after the doings of the land of Canaan, whether I bring you, shall ye not do, neither shall ye walk in their ordinance. So, this would be walking in a Mesopotamian Amorite ordinance. As I explained, that the Amorites are from Mesopotamia and from Cyprus, and they control Cyprus. And as you can see, that Murdoch is tied into the Solix, the winter Solix. So you gonna be slick worshiping Murdoch when you worship on December the 25th, the 12 days of Christmas. It's gonna be in honor of Murdoch. And that's gonna be the hidden history. That the enemy ain't gonna want to tell you this, like they ain't gonna want to tell you that they are not Israelites, the people who we abandoned our heritage to, that's from Cyprus. All right, Hebrews, this is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. And man, like I say, man, you Hebrews, man, they got them sisters that just doing Christmas. Man, there's some Hebrews I be seeing, man, that they know they ain't got no business doing that stuff. And then how did they got Christmas stuff, man, up on their house and on their doors and stuff. And it's a shame in this day and time how the we Israelites ain't woke up to that we doing traditions that was given to us in the slavery days, and that how that should be disrespectful and a dishonor. How you shouldn't want to be doing nothing that is associated in the slavery days, especially with worship. Man, you got that worship under distress. and trickery, and how it's no good, and how it has nothing to do with where our ancestors are from. You ain't gonna see no Santa Claus riding around with no bunch of clothes on with no reindeers and stuff riding around up in here and stuff in Africa where we been, and that how did that old mythology and ruckus come from the peoples up north celebrating they winter solstices, and that how that we Israelites shouldn't do that stuff, and then you know what I'm saying. It's like now, man, I go to a neighborhood where the Israelites is doing real good. They ain't even got to do Christmas, man. I'm talking about, man, they can go buy gifts anytime, man. These folks living in $200,000 and $300,000 houses and got nice cars and in the front yard. The whole black folks, the whole Israelite community here in Memphis. Oh man, I'm talking about living real good, and how that they don't have to do Christmas, and that how that they can just buy gifts anytime of the buy gifts every day of the year, and that how every last one of them, man, in that little section, man, got Christmas stuff up and all kind of stuff, man, and it's just awful, man, and that how that we peoples can be so successful and be a failure at the same time. We could be so successful as a people and then be a failure at the same time. Man, it's awful. We the only people that can be like that. And that how that they profiting off of us. That Christmas don't mean nothing. Don't mean nothing. And then like I said, and like Almighty Yah showed that if you didn't make the heavens in the earth, that you gonna perish from under them. So that this Jesus that all the Israelites believe in, man, Almighty Yah done set his faith already. He done set his faith already. Look, this shall ye say unto them, the gods that have not made the heavens and the earth, even they shall perish from the earth and from under these heavens. Now, all this is in relations to that Christmas stuff. That tree decked out with silver and with gold and so forth. That junk messed up, man, that in this day and time, that Israelites still worshiping these folks' religions and so forth. All right, shalom, Hebrews. It's a message to the Israelite brotherhood. And then some of us going to stay strong. And I want to, man, congratulate and give praise to you Hebrews that don't believe in Christmas. That's like me. I don't believe in no holidays. I don't even celebrate birthdays. You know what I'm saying? I don't celebrate none of these heathens holidays. None of them. No Christmas, no 4th of July, no Easters, and man, no Memorial Days. None of them. I don't do none of they holidays. And I'm happy. Shalom, Hebrews.